First thing we do here, I'm making a custom army for Monolith Arena. We're just gonna print it out the file here. Just got off Board Game Geek. Gonna hit print, and gonna hit make sure it's actual size, color, all that, and then I'm gonna print it out. And here now I'm just printing it on inkjet paper, or inkjet printer rather. And just gonna print it on pretty normal paper, maybe like good quality but not like extra thick or anything. Make sure there's like no lines, that kind of thing. Seems pretty good. Looks like I spoke too soon, and for the first page I got lines and all the tiles, so I gotta just run some cleaning on the printer and try these again. So the next step here, we're just going to work on the team sheet. And for this, what I tend to do is first we have this Fiskars cutting, it's like a straight cutting thing. It has like a little line here, so you can see where you're cutting. And what I'll do is I'll cut this out, and you can line it up here. Like a lot of people use these little cutting boards for different print and play projects. So cut out each side here, and you can line up very easily here. Let's do this very quickly. I have this done now, and there's a little bit of white here, but I don't really care. And what I'll do is I'll cut out the other side as well, and then I'm going to glue it with a glue stick to a sheet of cardstock. So this is a thicker material. And glue it to here. I'll cut this out again, and then I'll put the other one on the other side, and then I will just laminate it all together. I'm gonna put this one here once I cut that out. And the thing I like putting on the cardstock, because this is one I did earlier at the start, and I just had the two regular pieces of paper together, and it's kind of warped and it's kind of flimsy. Later on I started putting on the cardstock, and you get a much nicer rigidity to that, so I like to do it like that with these. And so yeah, I'll get those cut out, and then I'll glue it onto the thing, and then I'll laminate that later. So now we are going to laminate the unit sheets. And I've learned from other print and play videos that what people like to do, they could put it on like 5mm. Like this is the thickness of the plastic, and they want it hot enough for the thicker plastic, even though they're using like a 3mm cover usually. And what they're going to do is they're going to put it through 2 times so that the plastic will bond to the paper and it's less likely to peel apart. I like to just wait a minute before I put it through the second time. I'll put like 2 sheets alternating, because if it goes right back in, I find sometimes it gets a little bit warped and so on. And after they're laminated, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use white glue, and I'm going to glue it onto this Matboard. And Matboard is like it's a thicker material. You kind of see it in photo painting. I mean, like photography frames. Often they'll have a frame will come with like a white border that you can use to have a smaller photo in there. And so it's pretty good, and it's pretty close thickness to like the normal tiles. And this laminator is just from Amazon. It's pretty cheap. It doesn't have, it has very little room for error, so I wouldn't necessarily say it's the best option. If you put it in a little bit too close, it's kind of like crank up a little bit, which can be quite annoying. And also there's like a bit of a overhang here and there. So I've seen other videos for print and play, they're laminating cards individually for their print and play game. I don't think you can really do that. You can't put items that small into here very, at least not very easily. But I mean, for this, it's fine. And it's cheap. It was only about 30 Canadian. And it's less, probably, I don't know, less, even less American. So this came through okay. And this is constantly going on and off. I don't know. Even when I don't have an item in there, it'll go off from ready. I think it's just sort of turning the element on and off so it doesn't melt probably. So I put one in there, and this is the back for one of the sets. I'm not gonna wait for the light to come on. It's just sort of I think it's fine. I think it's fine. Maybe I'll put it through one way and then the other, and just let this go through here. Yeah, so then after this, I'm going to glue one side onto the mat board, and then I'll be cutting it out. And it's also very important when it's gluing, I'll repeat this later, but when it's gluing, you want to have a heavy weight on top of it, because else it's going to warp immediately, basically. So let this get through. Now I'm going to put this one through again. This is the first one. It's already cooled off, so I don't know if I'm even having the desired effect by putting it through after a gap, but I mean, I haven't had a problem. I do also notice that the corners tend to curl up, so sometimes just going to curl them down so it doesn't catch on the back here. And I'll just put this through now again, and I'll just do the rest, and then we'll get to the next part. So while this is going, I do want to mention that you could also, instead of doing this whole process, you can get some vinyl sticker paper instead, and you can just take this off and stick it right on a pre-made tile. Like, you can get these wooden tiles off Amazon for like a bag of 50 for about the price of, you know, $12 or $15. They are noticeably smaller than like the official tile, just by a little smidgen. I mean, it's not super noticeable, but it is a little bit noticeable. And I do think that when you print on this kind of sticker vinyl, you're gonna get different looking colors. The shadows tend to be less, but you could just put it on here and then just stick it right on there, right? That would save you a lot of cutting, which is gonna come later. But that's an option also. But you just might have to resize the Army so that it fits the smaller size. Maybe you don't have to even, I don't know. But I think you do need to resize it just a little bit. But yeah, that's an option also. I do also want to say, I think these tiles are, the thickness is more, let's see if I can, like, it's more than your normal tiles, so they're a bit harder to handle and shuffle and that sort of thing. It's not a huge deal, and I don't know how well like the sticker will hold up over time, but it's an idea. I do also want to mention that sometimes when it's going through, it's going to get caught on the back edge of here, and you can sometimes get it kind of jamming up and then warping a little bit. So you can see here, there's a bit of a crease here on this rune. bit like this. So sometimes maybe, sometimes it can just get totally wrecked. You just got to redo it again. Like this isn't too much, and it's just a ruin, so I'm not too fussed about it. But it can be problematic for sure. That's why I'm not sure that this cheap affordable model is like the best laminator to have. If you plan to do a lot of print and play, I don't think it's the best. I think there are other designs that are more they're gonna have less issues like this, I think. So I did point that out. Also, I just wanted to point out another piece of paper here. Like this is the other one. It got like very warped at the end here. I don't think it was even jammed up. I think it's just, I think this is the problem with putting it through twice. I don't know, a lot of print and play people say you definitely put it through 2 times, but I do tend to have this happen fairly regularly. Like the other ones haven't had that problem, but it does happen occasionally. And you see, if you do it once, like there's no problem whatsoever. But yeah, I'm just gonna hope for the best here. You might try doing it one time. People typically, when they're talking about doing it twice, they're talking about playing cards, which I mean are a different story than playing tokens. Like there's a lot more holding and shuffling. And they say put it through twice because it'll peel. The plastic will come off the paper. I haven't had that happen at all, but I think also when I glue this, it's not necessarily going to look like this. So maybe it's okay. Most of the problem here is off the tile. A few of the order tiles, but something to bear in mind. Also, you can see here I didn't put it in quite perfectly, so now we're getting a little bit of this. That's not a big deal, but sometimes it's a lot more pronounced than that. So now finally, I'm just gonna, for the laminator, I'm going to laminate this. I've now used a glue stick, put it on a piece of cardstock, and I'm just gonna run this through. I'm only gonna do it once because it's not necessary to have it. You know, it's just a player aid. It's not a big deal. Also, I think maybe why I'm getting the warping issue with the other tiles could be because I'm using just regular paper. A lot of people who run it through twice are making cards, and so they're using cardstock. I haven't put cardstock in my paper. I mean, in my printer. Usually, we did have it. We did do it before to make some custom, like themed Uno decks, but then the printer stopped taking paper correctly. It was missing sheets a lot of the time, so we just quit doing that. We got a new printer, and I haven't dared to put cardstock into the new one, so that could be the reason why. And I mean, you could probably get away with just putting it through one time, I think. But once this is out, I'll just cut it up with the, I'll just trim it here. I'll probably leave a bit of edge of plastic, like with these other ones I did previously. There's a bit of an edge here, and this will be done. So the next step, what we're going to do, we're going to glue this sheet of units to Matboard. Just using the regular white glue, and so I'll get that all spread around here, and just take a minute. When I first started, it's a bit clogged up, so I want to make sure I get glue all over the paper here, because I mean, of course, you got different units all over, so I just gonna put it here and I'm just gonna spread it with my finger. You could use some other tool if you like, but I mean, I think I need more, especially in the middle here. Let's put more here. Kind of spread it around. Hopefully get every spot. Now, I mean, you might even, after you cut them later, you might have to add a little bit somewhere else, like on the corner. But I mean, you can do that in the next step. So I did a decent job there. Now I'm going to put this onto the mat board here. And a napkin here. And then also what I like to do here is use like a some kind of straight edge. I'm just gonna just kind of squeeze, spread the glue around a bit more, like to the corners. Make sure it's kind of flat so there's not like a big lump somewhere. Now this mat board is going to warp immediately, so you need to put weight on it. I'm going to put weight on it for a whole day. I got some heavy books here, some Jane's ships. Put one here. I like to just put some paper in between, just so, like some failed prints from earlier. Put some paper, and then just put another book on it. Or after I put the next one, I'm gonna put another. I'm gonna put the other one in between here and put another book there. Just gonna leave it there for a day, and I will come back then. And then after a day, when this is dry, then the real work will begin. Also, while those sheets are gluing, I'm gonna go ahead and cut out the backs. Now after the other thing is glued, I'm gonna cut out the pieces. I'm gonna glue the backs onto individual pieces, and they're gonna be it's gonna go through another drying cycle. Now these tiles, I don't know if I did them in a way that's very efficient for cutting, probably not. But I'm not an expert, so just sort of the best that I did. I'm not gonna show you cut out. I'm not gonna cut out a whole bunch of them on camera here, but I'm just gonna cut out a few. Cut out this one. I can cut down the line here using this Fiskars cutting board, and then you can do the same here as well. When it's small like this, you can have problems holding on, and then you're gonna have like some miscuts. So you can just use some scissors. You know, it's not as precise, but like it's a lot easier. When you're cutting out 35 tiles, you're gonna go for easy over precision at some point. And the way that I'm making these tiles also, they're not gonna be a precise shape. They're gonna be slightly different shapes all over, so it's gonna be a uniform, you know, they'll be uniformly different. But I mean, for casual play, you know, they're not really, but since they're all different, they're all kind of the same, so it works. It works for what I'm doing. It's never gonna look as good as a professional product, of course, but it's pretty good for my family. Yeah, so I'm gonna cut these out. I'm gonna put these aside, and then when the other thing is done gluing, I'm gonna cut them out. I'm gonna glue this to the back and then glue it again. So after a day of drying, actually multiple days of drying, I have the sheets here. They are all glued and dry. And now what I'm gonna do, I have this, it's called a self-sealing cutting board. I have this rolling kind of cutter and a metal ruler. I'm just gonna cut them out. And let's do it this way. I'm not gonna lie, this process, it's gonna be the most work by far. It usually takes me, I don't know, a couple hours to cut them all out. And yeah, it does take some muscle power. I wanna hold this ruler firmly so it doesn't slip. I have to push down a little bit to get this out. And you got to cut multiple times with this usually. one piece off. Some white on this side that got left, but I'm trying to worry about that too much because there's going to be imperfections regardless. Just cut this other side. Line it up. Do this. Now I'm using this rolling cutter because if you use scissors, like scissors will have kind of a like a shearing motion, right? Like two blades cutting like this. But this rolling cutter is just going to be, you know, it's just one force going down like this on the page. So I find you're going to get less distortion from the cut, you know. You can also use, they have like those big kind of the one-arm bandit kind of cutters, but those are kind of dangerous, especially with a kid in the house. So I just use this instead. There are different kind of grips. You can get one that's kind of more like a scissor grip. This one reminds me more of like using a X-Acto knife to cut. So this is the one I kind of prefer. And I'm not going to cut them all out certainly on camera, but I'll just cut out one or two here. Oh, I'll cut off some of the art there. And there's some white edges. Kind of not paying full attention here. But there we go. So now as you see, I did leave some white here. I can go back and cut that off a little bit because you can do very you can cut very closely with this particular tool, so I like that a lot. I'll do like a very thin cut off of here, like then cut that side, cut this side. I know there are hex cutters, but I don't know if you can get the exact size, you know. But this here's kind of finished tile. It has like a nice weight to it. And then after that, I also cut out all these other sides here. I'm just going to use some of this glue and put it on again. I'm going to put this here, line it up. Like this one lines up pretty good. Oh, you don't see many white edges here. I'm going to glue it, and I'm going to put it under a book again for another day. Put them all under a book, and hopefully at the end of that, it's going to look pretty good. One thing is when I'm gluing these, I try to orientate them the same way. So maybe just cut out another quick one here. All right, so I've done that now. And here's the Orc Berserker here. So what I'll do, I'll take this piece here and I'll try to orientate it so that the line is it's along this line here with the initiative, and make sure it's like this way for every piece. It just adds a little bit more. There's a little bit of white here. This one, like not quite the same size, but it's gonna happen. I'll do that, and with these with like runes and orders, I probably try to pick one side and orientate it with that as well. Just it adds a little bit. You'll notice it when you're playing, or you'll notice the problem if they're all every which way, you know. You'll kind of notice. So that's something to just keep in mind. I do also want to mention, just briefly, is that when you're gluing them, I'm not going to glue it right now, but when you glue it, I think it's best, put the glue on, And when you're done putting the glue onto one of them, just quickly put it under the book and like lay it flat. Because when I was doing some of my other armies here, I have some finished ones here. This is the Aberrant Legion. I would kind of glue 4 of them, leave them sitting out, and then throw them all in their book at the same time. And I think they did get like a little bit warped. I did notice it with a few of the pieces anyway. Maybe it's not these ones, but yeah, I think it's better to just do, oh, like this one. I feel this, I got this order here. It is, anyway, it's a little bit warped. Whereas these other ones I did previously, where I was just doing one to one, I feel that they're just like a little bit more flat overall. So yeah, I think, yeah, just don't leave them out. Don't leave them sitting out. Once you put glue on it, once you put the paste on here, paste this on, immediately put it under like a heavy object, so it doesn't have time to warp, because it'll warp in, you know, leave it 30 seconds and it's gonna warp basically. So something to bear in mind. And yeah, and I'll do the gluing off screen, because you've already seen me doing it. Just like spread it around, and then I'll usually push it out like this, and then I'll wipe if there's some excess. I'll push it out to the edges, just like with the ruler, but use my hands. If there's excess, I'll kind of take it off of here, just make sure it's aligned, and yeah, and then put it under the book, and yeah, leave it for a day again or more. And that should, if you do it one by one, it should give you a better product. So now at the end here, we have the finished tiles after they're all finally glued. And if you see these two side by side, I mean, they're actually pretty much the same height. They're the same kind of thickness here. Of course, with these ones I made, this is the official army, kind of the dwarves anyway, mountain protectors or something, guardians of the realm, yeah. And this is the one we made here. And just as a comparison, here's like a 35 tile stack of these wood, which are considerably thicker, as you can see. But if you just throw some tiles out here, you know, it's that's an order. They you know, they don't look too bad side by side basically. Got some guys here. You get a guy in here. I mean, there's a bit of a white thing going on, of course, but and there was a little bit of pieces of paper stuck here and there. You know, overall they look pretty good on the table. Like, you can't, they don't look as good, I would say, you know. But they look pretty. They look pretty good for my my estimation for something, you know, just made at home. And there was a few like problems again with the like the laminator. That normally doesn't happen, even though I did like the same thing, but we got those wrinkles. I might normally kind of reprint that and relaminate it, but it was fine. It was fine for what it was. So, and when you're like shuffling them, you know, because they're like the same height, they're pretty good in the hand. They're gonna feel, you know, a little bit. They're all a little bit different. You know, and there's even some. I think I got some glue on here. I got to cut off with a X-Acto knife or something. It might be a bit of paper stuck because I put it between pieces of paper, but you know, I think it turned out pretty good, and maybe I might do a playthrough of these too. But yeah, that's how you make that's how you make one of these tile armies. You just need someone to make the army for you, and then this is the supplies. I'll kind of run through the supplies and the cost, and I think, you know, there's certainly, like anything, there's like a startup cost. If you're going to do any kind of print and play, you need all these different things. But if you make a few different armies, like for this game or any other game, then like the you get more value. Like the cost is it's spread over multiple projects, so like the cost is less. But yeah, so thank you for checking out the video, and happy print and playing.